I built custom barbecue pits for over 15 years, raised 4 kids, and thought I had the perfect marriage. Then I took my wife to her company's Christmas party and watched her vanish with a slick stranger. When she stumbled home at dawn draped in his jacket, I knew our world was shattered. But what she discovered the next day when her key wouldn't turn in our door was just the opening act. By the time I was finished, she lost everything she believed was hers by right and learned the hard price of betraying a man who lives by loyalty. My name is Harlan Brooks. I'm 47 years old, and for the past 15 years, I've been crafting custom barbecue smokers and grills in my workshop out back of our house in Tennessee. It's gritty work, the type that leaves your hands calloused and your bank account steady enough to support 4 kids and keep a wife content, or so I thought. At least, I believed I was keeping her content. Our life seemed solid on the surface. I started the business from scratch, scraping together savings from odd jobs to buy my first welder. Miranda, my wife of 24 years, was there in the early days, cheering me on as I turned a hobby into a thriving operation. But lately, she'd grown distant, spending more time on girls' nights and vague work meetings than at home. She worked part-time at a marketing firm, handling campaigns for outdoor brands, but her hours had stretched longer, her stories vaguer. I chalked it up to midlife restlessness, never suspecting the rot underneath. We had 4 amazing kids. Landon, our sharp-eyed 17-year-old gearing up for college. Harper, 16, bookish and fiery. And the twins, Ryder and Jax, 12-year-old whirlwinds of energy with soccer cleats always muddying the floors. Family dinners were chaotic but full of laughter. Weekends filled with my workshop projects and their activities. Miranda's sister, Eliza, lived nearby and was always meddling, visiting unannounced, whispering in Miranda's ear about how I was too controlling with the finances or too buried in work. Eliza never liked me. She saw me as the blue-collar guy holding her sophisticated sister back. Little did I know she'd become a key player in the storm brewing. I poured everything into providing. The house we bought after years of renting. The college funds growing steadily. The custom orders rolling in from Nashville barbecue joints. But cracks were forming, ones I was too trusting to spot, until that fateful Christmas party invitation. The night everything unraveled started with Miranda's insistence that I join her at her marketing firm's annual Christmas party. Usually, she'd brush off my attendance with excuses. "It's just work talk, Harlan. You'd be bored." But this time, her tone was different. Eager, almost pushy. "You should meet my new boss, Victor Langston," she said, smoothing her sleek, sapphire blue dress in front of the mirror. "He's got big ideas for outdoor lifestyle campaigns, maybe even something for your smokers." Her voice had a lilt when she mentioned Victor, a spark I didn't catch then. Too busy thinking about a new order from a Memphis barbecue chain. I should have noticed the signs. The dress she bought without mentioning. The extra hours spent curling her hair. The way she kept checking her phone. But I was distracted, trusting, blind. The party was at the Grand View Hotel in downtown Nashville. Polished marble floors, glittering chandeliers, a world far from my workshop's grease and steel. In my best suit, I felt like an outsider, watching Miranda glide through the crowd, her laughter cutting through the clink of champagne glasses. She introduced me to her boss and a few colleagues, but her energy was off. electric, almost feverish. Then I saw him. Victor Langston looked like he belonged on a billboard. Tailored suit, perfect teeth, a smile that hid more than it revealed. When Miranda introduced us, his handshake was soft, like he'd never lifted anything heavier than a pen. "So, you're the pitmaster legend," Victor said, voice smooth as bourbon. "Miranda's always raving about your work." That was news to me. Miranda barely asked about my business anymore, except to check when the next payment was coming. During the cocktail hour, I caught something. A glance, a laugh too loud, her hand brushing Victor's sleeve. Nothing blatant, but it gnawed at me. Around 9 p.m., I went to find her, ready to head home. Landon had texted about his college essay, and the twins had early soccer. But Miranda was gone. I scanned the ballroom, checked the bar, the restrooms, even stepped outside for air. Nothing. Then I overheard two colleagues near the coat check, their voices low but clear. "Did you see Victor and Miranda slip out?" They were whispering about some private project at his place. My stomach twisted. I pressed the valet, who confirmed Victor had peeled out in his sleek BMW 20 minutes earlier, with a woman in a blue dress matching Miranda's description. The realization hit like a sledgehammer. I took my wife to a party, and she left with another man. I drove home, knuckles white on the steering wheel, replaying every moment of the night. The signs were there. Her new dress, her excitement, that overheard conversation about a plan. I'd been too trusting, too focused on my work to see the betrayal unfolding right under my nose. I sat in my workshop all night, surrounded by the hum of fluorescent lights and the cold tang of metal, trying to piece together how my marriage had crumbled in a single evening. Every rational part of me scrambled for excuses. Maybe Miranda and Victor really were discussing work. Maybe she'd felt ill and he'd driven her home. But my gut screamed the truth. At 4 a.m., headlights swept across the driveway. From the workshop window, I saw Miranda slip out of a car, her sapphire dress wrinkled, hair tangled, and, most damning, wearing a man's blazer that wasn't mine. She crept into the house, quiet as a thief, thinking I wouldn't notice. I waited an hour, letting her settle, then walked into the kitchen. There she was, brewing coffee like it was any other morning, still in that dress, Victor's blazer slung over a chair. Her makeup was smudged, a faint red mark blooming just below her collarbone. "Where'd you go?" I asked, keeping my voice steady as a weld. She didn't look up. "Victor wanted to show me some campaign mock-ups at his office," she said, casual as if she'd been grocery shopping. We lost track of time. "He thinks your smokers could be a gold mine for outdoor branding." I stared at her, the lie hanging thick between us. "Until 4 in the morning?" Her eyes flicked to me, not with guilt, but with a cold calculation I'd never seen before. "Harlan, you're being weird." "It was just business," I pointed at the blazer. "Whose is that?" She glanced at it, like she'd forgotten it was there. "Victor's." His office was chilly. "I'll return it next week." The mark on her neck told a different story, as did the way she avoided my gaze when she said his name. "You forgot to give it back," I said, my voice low. "Just like you forgot to tell me you left the party with him." She turned, bold as brass, and shrugged. "Harlan, nothing happened. You're blowing this out of proportion." That was it. The moment I knew our marriage was dead. Her lies were an insult to 24 years of trust. I didn't shout, didn't break. Instead, I made a decision. "I'm going to bed," I said, walking away. She muttered something about the twins' soccer practice and headed upstairs. Sunday morning, while Miranda was at her yoga class and the kids were at their activities, I drove to the hardware store and bought heavy-duty Schlage deadbolts for every door in the house. I spent 2 hours installing them, each turn of the screwdriver a reclaiming of my life. By 5 p.m., the locks gleamed, each new key a symbol of who I'd let in my world. Landon came home first, noticing immediately. "Dad, new locks?" he asked, eyeing the brass. "Security upgrade," I said, keeping it simple. He gave me a knowing look, but didn't push. Then came the twist. That evening, Miranda came home, yoga mat slung over her shoulder, chatting about her class. She tried her key. It didn't work. She jiggled it, frowning, then pounded on the door. "Harlan, what's going on?" I opened it slowly, standing in the frame. "I changed the locks," I said, calm as steel. Her face twisted, confusion, then fury. "Why would you do this without telling me?" "This is my house." I leaned closer. "Same reason you went to Victor's office without telling me." That's when she panicked, pulling out her phone to call the police, claiming I'd locked her out and threatened her. But I'd prepared for this. My workshop's security camera had caught her sneaking in at dawn, Victor's blazer and all. The cops arrived, watched the footage, and left her standing on the porch, humiliated. The neighbors peeked from their windows, whispering. I'd drawn a line, and she'd crossed it. The fallout hit like a storm. My kids were caught in the crossfire, their world upended by their mother's betrayal and my stand. Landon, my 17-year-old, was the first to sense the truth. He'd inherited my knack for watching, listening, thinking before speaking. "Dad, I saw Mom with that guy a month ago at a cafe downtown. He confessed that night in the workshop, his voice low. They were holding hands, real close. I thought maybe it was work stuff, but now..." His words cut deeper than I expected. He'd been carrying that secret, protecting me. I put a hand on his shoulder. "Not your fault, son. You did what you thought was right, Harper. My 16-year-old wasn't so quick to take sides." She stormed into the kitchen that evening, eyes blazing. "Dad, how could you lock Mom out?" This is her home too. She'd always been close to Miranda, her mother's defender. I kept calm. "Harper, ask your mom where she was last night. Ask why she came home in another man's jacket." She faltered, but didn't back down, texting Miranda furiously, demanding answers. The twins, Ryder and Jax, were confused, asking why Mom wasn't home for their soccer practice. I told them she was staying with Aunt Eliza for a bit, dodging the full truth. They were only 12. How do you explain betrayal to kids? Then came Eliza, Miranda's sister, stirring the pot. By Monday, she was spreading poison, calling neighbors and mutual friends, claiming I'd turned abusive, locking Miranda out to control her. She even cornered Harper at school, filling her head with lies about me being unstable, trying to turn my daughter against me. Eliza's venom wasn't new. She'd always seen me as beneath Miranda, but this was a new low. She was rallying a small army of Miranda's friends, painting me as the villain to anyone who'd listen. The real twist came when Landon dug deeper. Using his tech skills, he hacked into an old email account Miranda hadn't logged out of on his laptop. "Dad, you need to see this," he said, showing me a chain of messages between Miranda and Victor. They weren't just planning an affair. They were scheming to siphon off my business. Miranda had been feeding Victor details about my custom smoker designs, hoping to pitch them to a rival company for a cut of the profits. Worse, she'd been transferring money, $25,000 from our joint savings, into a secret account over the past year, funding lavish gifts for Victor, a Rolex, designer suits, even a deposit for a romantic getaway to Charleston. The emails also revealed Victor's history. 2 ex-wives, both accusing him of emotional blackmail and cheating. One claiming he'd extorted her for thousands during their divorce. He wasn't just a homewrecker. He was a predator, targeting married women for sport. Harper overheard us and read the emails, her face crumpling. "Mom's been lying to everyone," she whispered, her loyalty to Miranda shattering. The twins caught wind, too. Ryder asking, "Why's Mom giving our money to that guy?" My heart ached, but their questions fueled my resolve. Eliza's lies, Miranda's theft, Victor's manipulation. It was more than infidelity. It was a calculated betrayal, not just of me, but of our kids, our home, everything I'd built. I called my lawyer, Jim Ellis, that night, ready to fight. The war was just beginning. The legal battle hit like a freight train, and I was ready to fight dirty if that's what it took. I hired Jim Ellis, a no-nonsense lawyer who'd handled my business incorporation years ago. Armed with Landon's email evidence and a forensic accountant named Rebecca Chen, we uncovered a financial trail that would make anyone's blood boil. Over the past year, Miranda had siphoned $25,000 from our joint savings into a secret account, blowing it on romantic getaways, a couple's spa package, and, here's the kicker, a $5,000 cosmetic procedure to look better for Victor. She'd even bought him a custom leather briefcase engraved with his initials. This wasn't just cheating. It was theft from our family, our kids' future. The first court hearing was a circus. Miranda's lawyer, a sharp-tongued woman named Victoria Grant, went for the jugular, accusing me of being a controlling, abusive husband who'd locked his wife out to punish her independence. But the real gut punch came when Miranda took it further, crossing a line that made my stomach churn. She claimed I'd been emotionally abusive to the kids, presenting doctored photos of Harper with a bruise on her arm, implying I'd caused it. The courtroom gasped. Even the judge's eyes narrowed. This was beyond betrayal. It was a vile, calculated lie, dragging our children into her web to save herself. The thought of her exploiting Harper's image to paint me as a monster was enough to make anyone's blood boil. Victor made it worse. He showed up as a witness, smooth-talking the court about how Miranda was a victim of my neglect, spinning a story of their innocent connection born from my failures. But Jim was ready. He cross-examined Victor, exposing his past. 2 divorces, both ex-wives accusing him of adultery and manipulation. Then came the bombshell. Landon's research revealed Victor had a 5-year-old daughter from his first marriage, abandoned without a cent of support. The judge's face hardened as Victor squirmed, his charm crumbling. This wasn't just a cheater. He was a deadbeat dad, a predator who left wreckage wherever he went. The gallery buzzed with disgust. Jim laid out our case like a master welder joining steel. Rebecca's report detailed Miranda's $25,000 theft, backed by receipts for romantic dinners and that Charleston hotel suite. Landon's emails proved she'd been plotting to undermine my business. sharing proprietary smoker designs with Victor's contacts. Harper, now firmly on my side, testified about her mother's lies, her voice shaking but resolute. The kid's preference to stay with me was clear, and the judge took note. "Mrs. Brooks," he said, voice like gravel, "did you engage in an extramarital affair with Mr. Langston while misappropriating marital funds?" Miranda's mask cracked. After a long pause, she whispered, "Yes, Your Honor." The judge ordered temporary custody. I'd have the kids Sunday through Tuesday, Miranda Wednesday through Friday, with alternating weekends. No negative talk about each other in front of the kids. It wasn't the knockout I wanted, but Miranda's lies were unraveling, and Victor's true colors were exposed. The courtroom felt like a crucible, burning away her facade. I left knowing the final blow was coming. The custody arrangement collapsed faster than a poorly welded joint. My kids made their choice clear, refusing to play along with Miranda's charade. Harper was the first to break. After a week at Miranda's cramped apartment, she called me, voice tight with disgust. "Dad, Victor's over all the time, acting like he's my stepdad. Mom wants me to smile and play happy family. It's gross." I told her to come home. She did, lugging her books and apologizing for ever doubting me. The twins, Ryder and Jax, followed. "Victor keeps buying us stuff we don't want," Jax said, tossing aside a flashy video game. "He acts nice, then gets mad when we don't thank him enough," Ryder added. They missed their beds, our routine, and the safety of a home without Victor's fake smiles. Landon, ever the strategist, stayed longer, gathering intel. "Dad, they're fighting nonstop," he reported. "Victor's dodging Mom's talk about moving in together." She caught him texting another woman. "Some exec in Atlanta." Sure enough, Victor bailed with a spineless text. "This is too much drama. I'm out. Focus on your divorce." 24 hours, and he was gone, leaving Miranda drowning in wine bottles and regret. Harper checked on her once and found her a wreck. "She keeps saying she ruined everything," Harper told me. "She's begging for a second chance." I wasn't her savior anymore. "You chose Victor over us," I told her over the phone. "Live with it." The final hearing was almost too easy. Jim Ellis presented an ironclad case. Miranda's $25,000 theft, her doctored photos, her plot to sabotage my business. The kids' testimony sealed it. They wanted me, not her. Judge Harrison didn't flinch. "Mrs. Brooks, your actions show a reckless disregard for your family," he said. "I got full custody, the house, the business, no alimony, no claim to my workshop." Miranda walked away with a small cash settlement and supervised visits that she barely used. Justice landed like a perfectly smoked brisket, rich, satisfying, final. 6 months later, life was better than I'd dreamed. My smoker business exploded. Scandal publicity drew orders from barbecue chains across the South. Landon earned a full ride to Tennessee Tech for engineering. Harper took over my invoicing, her confidence soaring. The twins thrived on the wrestling team, their energy channeled. Miranda faded to Nashville, scraping by at a low-rent marketing firm, her texts to the kids growing sparse. Victor? Word was, he was in Atlanta, charming another married woman, his cycle unbroken. That night, as I locked the workshop, laughter spilled from the house. My kids were safe, our home rebuilt. New kitchen, new porch, no trace of Miranda's chaos. I'd lost a wife, but gained a life where trust was king. Sometimes, cutting out the rot makes everything else shine.